David, what's up? I I'm gonna start a new deal tonight where I actually, instead of waiting for everybody to get here, I'm gonna start my intro. Since it's gonna be the same every night, most of the people that watch it every night don't need to see it every night. So coming in late, it's not gonna be a big deal. Most people are watching this, um, you know, tonight, later tonight, or tomorrow anyway. So, uh, Swampwatch 1520. So, for you new people, you're at the Watchman page. Our Swampwatch, we do a live chat every evening at 5 p.m. Pacific. Um, if you're looking for a place or a way to put others first, pay it forward, you're at the right place. I was called to do this work in 2014, called by God. He showed me several things. Showed me the first ever worldwide economic collapse, showed me the draining of the swamp, showed me the exposure of the satanic pedophile network, and showed me Litecoin and physical silver as a way for us to protect ourselves from all the financial losses that we're going to experience coming up. I am not selling anything. I don't monetize the videos. I don't charge any fees for anything I do, and I don't accept donations. All I ask is that if you learn anything here, you pay it forward. You pay it forward now by reaching out to all your friends and relatives and warning them. Um, you pay it forward when we get into the rough patch we're headed into with extra food and water supplies. And then in the recovery, you pay it forward with financial assets that you are hopefully going to gain from what you learn here. That's the whole point behind the physical silver and Litecoin. Um, a lot of people accuse us or trying to take. Somebody tried to say we were taking advantage of these poor kids that have, been tortured and murdered. I had a stroke because of those kids, thinking about those kids, internalizing what's been happening with these kids. 800,000 kids a year go missing in America. Not a peep from the politicians. There's a reason for that. They know what's going on. They know where these kids are going. And that's just one of the things you'll find out if you don't already know, if you stick around. So I do this every night. I try and give kind of a brief take on what's been going on. I am not a preacher. I'm not a reporter. I'm a watchman. My job is to warn you and get you prepared, and then hopefully get you on board with warning and getting your friends and relatives and neighbors prepared. The more people we get into this, the better prepared we're all going to be, the easier it's going to be on President Trump, because when this goes down, if it goes worst case scenario, the power goes off, the banks close, the stores are empty, there's rioting and looting and civil unrest, massive. That's worst case. I don't think it's going to go worst case. I think President Trump's on top of this. As far as now we're talking about the economic collapse, and they expect they expect massive civil unrest when people realize that they're not going to get their pensions, when people see Obama and Clinton being arrested, Uh, there is nothing to fear here. Everything that's happening is for our good, for the betterment of mankind. We're going to remove this evil from the world. This is not just the United States operation. The SEALs have already, for a couple of years, been working at taking down bases around the world. This is a worldwide swamp draining. These satanic pedophiles are worldwide. Anybody who's guilty will face justice. No one's going to escape this. They will hunt them down no matter where they go on the face of the earth. They're not going to get away. It cracks me up, people thinking, oh God, what's happening? You can't believe what's been happening. This thing's almost over, and that's probably a good thing because, well, it's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing in the people who don't know about it, they're going to have a very short window to deal with it before the problem is fixed or addressed. It's going to take a while to fix it because there's 140,000 SEAL indictments nationwide. They got a lot of people to arrest. I get fixed isn't the right word, but it's all a timing thing. The earlier you know about it, the less cognitive dissonance is going to be an issue for you, and it affects everybody. It's going to be our biggest threat, I think, especially in a worst case scenario environment. You don't want to have cognitive dissonance, and that's going to come from really everything that's going down, because a lot's going to hit very close together. The economy's going to go down, the swamp's going to drain, the satanic pedophiles are going to be exposed, all within a couple of weeks of each other. Epstein was running honeypots for Mossad and the CIA. Pedo Island, mansion in Florida, mansion in New York City, ranch in New Mexico. He basically has video of many thousands of the richest, most powerful people in the world, politicians, government officials, judges, celebrities, newscasters, CEOs, all involved in this satanic pedophilia. Hollywood is a hotbed for it. You're going to see most of Hollywood go down. It's sickening how widespread this is. That's going to cause, and the things they are doing to these kids, they're torturing and murdering these children and cannibalizing them, mostly for the blood. But it's imagine your worst horror film and multiply it by 1,000. That is going to rock the world, and it's going to cause an epidemic of cognitive dissonance, which is something that you don't want to be suffering from if you're out of food and the banks are closed and the stores have been closed for a couple of weeks. So now everybody is hungry. You don't want to be out in the streets trying to get food for your kids with cognitive dissonance. It's a good way to get yourself killed. That's the whole point of trying to wake up as many people as we can, as fast as we can, because knowing about it, it takes a while. It took me a while. And I knew, I was 12 years old when I knew the Catholic Church was corrupt, when I knew that our government was corrupt. I had no idea the scope. And when I really dug into it a couple of years ago, it rocked me. I was off for a couple of days. And I kind of knew about it going in. So imagine the people who don't know a thing about it, not only don't they know a thing about it, but the people they've been supporting their whole lives, say people my age, that have been Clinton backers or Bush backers, because these are two of the most horrific monsters ever put on the face of the earth, the Bush family and the Clintons. And Obama's right up there too. All on tape. This is coming out. Days or weeks. That's why you have seen such a pushback against President Trump. For the average person, if I was just sitting back on the sidelines and not knowing anything except what I was seeing on the mainstream media, I'd be asking a lot of questions right now. Because basically for over 4 years, everything that they've said about President Trump has been a lie. And now they're being caught in their lies. The problem for 3 years was liberals never even checked. You never call them on some of the ridiculous claims they were making against President Trump, and they would just say you're conspiracy theorists. They wouldn't go dig and find, and they're lying virtually every day. Russian collusion. I mean, and honestly, there's many of these newscasters that are going to be executed for either murder or treason, because this wasn't just they made mistakes. They got bad info. They knew that it was bad info. They knew they were all lies in an effort to take down President Trump. When you're conspiring to remove a duly elected president of the United States from office, that's treason. And they aren't messing around. It's not a coincidence that Barr reinstated the death penalty about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Up until that point, the federal government wasn't executing people for murder. Now they are. There's a reason that they did this at this time. It's not a coincidence. And the same, we've always been able to execute the traitors. But they're setting the stage, and the deep state, the swamp, knows it. That's why you're seeing all of this frantic action with the impeachment. And it's embarrassing how lame it is. The 2 articles of impeachment, neither one of them are a crime. I've never seen anything this ridiculous. I'm 64 years old. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in our government, in this world. This is ridiculous that this is happening. And we're at the end. That's why this is happening. All the stuff you're seeing, what's going on in Virginia right now, it's all part of it. They're trying to create a civil war in Iran. They're trying to start a world war. It's not going to work. There isn't going to be a civil war. Listen, it's all their whole game plan is to try and get us so jacked up that we start shooting each other. That's what they're angling for, because they don't have anything else. In Virginia, the National Guard already told them they're not doing it. They're not going to enforce an unconstitutional law. Sheriffs in Virginia said the same thing. You think the governor's going to go door to door, and you think President Trump's going to allow it? It's not going to happen. It's all a distraction. It's all about trying to get everybody wound up, and somebody pulls a trigger and gets it going. Same thing in Iran. And it's not really Iran. It's the deep state pulling the strings. Iran's nothing but a puppet. Same as North Korea. The CIA has owned both Iran and North Korea for 20 years, probably. Everything that's been going on there, they're deep state assets. What's going on in Iraq? That's all deep state driven. None of this is truly organic, where the people are themselves creating this turmoil and war. That's not the people. It's the globalist pulling strings, pulling the puppet strings. This guy this General Soleimani, this guy's a butcher. I mean, Obama stopped. Israel was going to bomb him in 2015, and Obama put a stop to it. This guy should have gone down a long time ago. So why the outrage from the mainstream media and the globalist politicians? It's all because he was one of their last hopes. This guy supposedly had bioweapons he was going to unleash. And even if that's not true, and I think it is true, but even if it's not, I don't care. They got the right guy. He needed to go. He was going to go one way or another. Either he was going to go now or he was going to go to a trial somewhere and be executed. But he wasn't going to live. All of these people are guilty of war crimes. Bush, Obama, all of this, the destabilization of the Middle East, that was all us. We did that. How many hundreds of thousands of people died just in the last 10 years, 15 years? Look at all of our servicemen, all of our heroes that went to wars that there was no reason for. Every war in the last 300 years has been manufactured by globalists. Every terror attack, every school shooting, all because of this evil with their agenda to divide and conquer us. And they basically wanted to make America a third world country. The globalist agenda, UN 21 for the Agenda 21 for the new people, on the UN website. Bush signed it in 92, I think. And the bottom line is, this was the points of light that this idiot was talking about. 1,000 points of light. He was a butcher. Bush 41 will be in the same category as Hitler when everybody finds out what he's been responsible for. Probably worse. His kid, too. That whole administration is going to go down for treason because of 9/11 and then everything they did after that. I mean, 9/11 was an inside job. 9/11, the whole purpose, the main purpose of 9/11 was to create a Pearl Harbor type event so that they could get everybody riled up and destabilize the Middle East, to create the Muslim refugee crisis that they then, and conveniently, Soros is right there with his boats to ship these people across the Mediterranean into the EU and destabilize Europe, and then they were coming here, and they'd already started. Obama was way ahead of schedule because I think, whatever. These people, Obama was the most criminal administration in history. Obama's going to have 4 or 5 treason charges against him. Clinton too, both Clintons. Bush will have 4 or 5. Nobody's going to escape justice. There are going to literally be hundreds of government officials and politicians that are executed for what they've done over the last 20 plus years. So, that's the first part. There's a lot of people that talk about the economy, going bad, or what happens if there's a World War III or whatever. There's no fear mongering here. There's nothing to fear about what's coming. This isn't just about, having your food and water and your Litecoin and your silver. Our job is to be prepared physically, spiritually, and mentally. And so you've got to have a handle on this thing. And There is absolutely nothing to fear. What you have to fear is these monsters staying in power. Because the ultimate goal of Agenda 21 is to have a worldwide population of 500 million, 500 million. The problem with that is we're 80 years away from the year 2100, and they want the population to be 500 million when it's 7.5 billion today, and the life expectancy is going up every year. How do you lose 7 billion people in 80 years? It's not good. Their plans for us were devious. And God had a different plan. And God is, this is something else God showed me. He is guiding and protecting President Trump. He wouldn't be alive today. I mean, there were more globalists in our government when he took office than there were patriots. That he is, to this point, and not only survived, but has kicked their ass to the very edge. I mean, this is over. They can't come back from where they're at right now. They're as good as done. The question is when. When is going to be the day? And like I said, I think it's days or weeks, based on a lot of different things happening in the economy, around the world. All of the crazier they get, the closer we are to it going down. Because they feel that noose tightening. They're running out of options. They don't have any more ammo left. That's why they're screaming so loud. I think about this Soleimani, is this Iranian general, because I think he was going to be one of their last shots here with this bio attack. And we've talked about this before too. I thought that they had neutralized this threat, and maybe this is a new threat, I don't know. And again, it might not even be true, but here's what you have to understand. Anything these people have available to them, they will use. If they had to nuke Washington, D.C. and level the whole town, and however many millions of people that would involve murdering, to get to President Trump, they'd do it in a heartbeat. Because they could care less about us. That's the thing we have going for us, though, as we go through this process. In America, thank God we have President Trump. Because when this economy collapses, you can pour gas on the fire, right? Like they've done, like Obama did when all these things were going on. Or you can have a plan. And I believe President Trump's 10 steps ahead like he has been. And this is not just based on what God showed me. Everything God showed me 5 years ago has been nothing but reinforced over the last 5 years. And the closer we get, the more that comes up. It's why I have to laugh when people say nothing's happening. Well, nothing's happening because you're watching CNN. Even Fox. Fox, you're getting 10% of what's really going on around the world. Fox is run by globalists. They bought Fox so they could put a lid on them, so they could control what they say. They know they're not going to keep everything in, but they keep the big stuff. They keep the big stuff out? When was the last time you heard them talk about Epstein? This is literally the biggest story going right now because this is what they can't afford you to find out about. Because they know when that's exposed, they're finished. I've lost hundreds of friends, and we live in the Bay Area, San Francisco, California, the belly of the beast. Hundreds of friends, they're liberals, Democrats. There's not one of them I know that will ever vote Democrat again when they find out what's been going on, what's really been going on. It just blows my mind when I see these monsters attacking President Trump because supposedly he said something 10 years ago about grabbing a woman inappropriately, and they want to build that up into a tsunami. Well, they're abducting, torturing, and murdering children. These people are as sick as it comes. This evil needs to be eradicated from the face of the earth. And that's why they're fighting so hard. It's not that they dislike him. They loved him. I mean, I was never a fan of Donald Trump, when he was a businessman and a celebrity. Part of the reason was I didn't really know him. Because the things I find out now about the things he was saying 30 years ago, exactly the same things I was seeing. So, but once God showed me these things, he has done nothing except prove God right these last 5 years. Everything he's done has been on point. You can't point to one thing. I get these people that still say he's a part of the globalist agenda. That's how ignorant they are. Because in 3 years, he's destroyed everything the globalists have taken 300 to build up. Why in the hell wouldn't they have just let Hillary win? It's asinine. It's people talking who don't know what they're talking about. Because there's no bigger enemy to globalism in the world today than President Trump. President Trump will be credited with saving our constitutional republic and the world. He's going to go down as the greatest president, bar none. You can't compare what he's doing right now with anything in history. And then we've got, where this is all headed. This is going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. There are going to be tens of thousands of middle class people who are flipping spots with the people like Zuckerberg and Bezos. They're all going down. All of those millions and trillions that they've stolen from us, they're going to be stripped of their wealth. Look at the executive order from 12/21/17. Allows the federal government to seize the assets of any corporation or individual that's involved in child trafficking, human trafficking, or corruption. They're going to be penniless when this, dead and penniless. All those assets are going to be received, confiscated. What has been taken from us, and we're talking about trillions of dollars, tens of trillions of dollars, are going to be returned sevenfold. That's coming. A Litecoin today is about $44. Some analysts believe it's going to be 3 million by 2024, and I think that's conservative. There's only about 84 million in the world. There is 84 million. All of those won't ever see the light of day. It has to do with the mining. They won't ever mine 100% of those. 64 million of them are already sold. There's 20 million left in a world of 7.5 billion people at a time where very shortly everybody in the world is going to be looking for assets outside the system. Assets like cryptocurrencies and precious metals. You want Litecoin instead of Bitcoin. You want silver instead of gold. If you go back and look at the previous videos, I'll get into the reasons why. Number one, what God showed me. And when you do the research, I like I said, I think Litecoin is going to I think Litecoin will eventually surpass Bitcoin in price. And I think silver will surpass gold in price. You got to have both physical silver and Litecoin for different reasons. The silver you hold in your hands. It's been money for 5,000 years. Should be money for 5,000 more. Litecoin is the future. It's what pretty much people are going to use. And the other thing, they make banks obsolete. That's why banks hate cryptocurrencies, because you don't need banks with cryptocurrency. You don't need a middleman, because it's all in your wallet or on your account at Coinbase. You want it on your wallet, Ledger Nano S. Pay right over the computer. When you get it down, it takes you 30 seconds, less, to make a payment. And you're going to be able to buy virtually anything within a year. Within a year after the economic collapse, you'll be able to buy anything with cryptocurrencies. Anything. Probably within 2 to 3 months, but for sure within a year. And the silver is for that time period anyway. So people always ask, what if the computers go down? So what? What if the computers go down now? You can't access your bank account. It's going to be the same thing when it comes back up. Your Litecoin is going to be there, just like your bank account used to be. That's the other thing. All paper assets are going to zero. Bank accounts, stocks, bonds, pension funds, 401ks, retirement accounts are all going to be worthless when this is said and done. They're going to have to eventually declare a reset, wipe the slate clean. Nobody owes anybody anything. It's the fairest thing to do. There's no way to untangle this. There's been so much corruption and manipulation for so long that it's virtually impossible. There's no way they can untangle this mess. There's $1 quadrillion worth of derivatives in the world. $1 quadrillion. You can't untangle this mess. And it's all interconnected now because of the things the Federal Reserve's had to do. We've been bailing out banks in the EU because they were ready to go. Deutsche Bank would already been done if we hadn't been bailing them out. And there's 50 triggers that could bring the economy down with a snap of your fingers. So, economy coming down, swamp being drained, pedophiles exposed. That's what we have coming. And the key here is all in how you present it. And it's difficult, to be honest. But every day that goes by, it gets easier. Like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years. 5 years ago, I would be lucky if I could get 1 or 2 people to talk to me a week. And I've got 4 or 5 every day, and that's growing. I can hardly keep up anymore, guys. It's really going well. People are starting to understand. They're starting to sense something's wrong, and they're looking for answers. So it's not as tough as it used to be. Don't be intimidated by this. Now's the time to be bold. You're never going to have another opportunity in history to do the good that you can do right now. Because having the right information is going to be life-changing for people. There's been no more important time in history to understand what's happening than right now. Because it's such a difference. You could take $100 and invest it in Litecoin today, and it changes your life. How many people do you know who have $6 million in their retirement account? That's basically what we're talking about with $100. More, actually. Probably 7. Based on the estimates. It's a pretty good, no matter how it turns out, you're going to be a lot better off than you are if you don't know it's coming and you lose everything and you're penniless going through a rough patch and a recovery. There's been talk about to kind of give everybody some seed money is to take what you've paid into Social Security and give everybody a lump sum based on what, it might not be exact, whatever, but it'll be something to get everybody going. That's kind of the rumor floating right now. There's going to be a gold-backed currency. The dollar's done. That's the other thing. The Federal Reserve and going off the gold standard, 2 biggest scams perpetrated against America by the bankers, it allowed them to do what they've done. In 1913, a dollar was worth 100 cents. Today, it's worth about 98 cents. They've eroded 98% of the value of our money through their corruption, their theft. Anyway, all right, let's. Iran cancels a nuclear deal. Yeah, like they were adhering to it anyway. That's a joke. Iraq votes to expel U.S. troops. We'll see how that goes. And everybody's saying this general, he was a general for Iran. He's not really a general for Iran. He's working for Soros and the Rothschilds. He's a globalist general. Had really nothing to do with Iran. Oh, yeah, the Iran's threatening they're going to go after targets. They're going to attack the White House. They've got an $80 million reward for President Trump's assassination. It's all, nothing's going to happen. I mean, they are going to be sleeper cells. I've talked about this. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to see shit like is going on in Iraq right now. That's going to go on until the swamp drains. Once the swamp drains, everything's going to calm down. Stuff like that's going to go on. They're going to try and start wars all around the world wherever they can. It's not going to happen. Nobody's falling for it. Everybody knows their tricks. And they're going to unleash these sleeper cells. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of sleeper cells in America right now. Look to Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious wasn't about drug cartels. It was about arming these radical Islamic terror training camps in America. The FBI had a list of, I think it was over 100 of them. And that's what was going on with Fast and Furious. They were giving guns to MS-13 to run across the border and then bring back in and deliver them to these training camps, Muslim training camps. So that's why anybody that can conceal carry needs to be doing it right now. If you can't put a gun in your trunk, stay out of public places as much as you can. When you are in public places, situational awareness, be aware of what's going on around you. Might save your life or somebody else's. Look what happened in the church shooting. These guys are going to find out real quick. And here's the other thing. Guaranteed, if this really kicks up and we get 5 or 6 of these things in a few days or so, President Trump's going to put out an executive order that anybody who can buy a firearm in America will be able to conceal carry in America wherever you live. And I think he'll get rid of the magazine capacity infringements in California and the other states that have gone that route. All of this crap's going regardless, but I think he will put out an executive order because he's not going to let us be slaughtered in the streets. He will do everything he can to prevent that. And you saw what happened in Texas. The Japanese said it the best in the Second World War. No one will ever invade America because they will find a gun behind every blade of grass. And look what happened at that church. In a church where you think maybe fewer people were carried, I think there were 6 or 7 guns on this guy. He didn't have a chance. And here's the other thing. There were people that knew that he was wearing a disguise. They could tell it was a fake beard. If you guys see stuff like that, and there was a security guy there, they should have just, quietly walked out, alerted the security guy. Probably nobody would have died in this situation. And that's part of the situational awareness, guys. Be looking for that kind of stuff. And if you see something, say something. Get on your cell, call 911, get a beat on this person. And if you're carrying, obviously, stay close so you could do something about it. something goes down. If somebody would have been a little bit quicker, maybe nobody had to die except for him. Um, but I trust me, America's on this now. They're not going to get much bias. And when you look about how this whole thing is going, they can't do anything right, and President Trump can't do anything wrong. That's why I believe that we're going to get through this. Not that there won't be a little rough patch, not that we might not have food for a while. Nobody's going to starve. If he can keep the power on and food in the grocery stores, we're going to get through this fine. And I think he's going to do that. But don't use that as an excuse not to be prepared. Because who knows? I live in California. Could have an earthquake, could have a tsunami, could have an earthquake or a tornado wherever else you live. You want to be prepared. The things that we're telling people to do are things everybody should be doing anyway. It's common sense. Why would you fight it? Just say I'm right. If I'm right and you listen to what we're saying, you're going to save your family's future, your extended family's future, your grandkids. If I'm wrong, you haven't lost anything. You can eat the food, and you know the silver and the Litecoin is an investment. It's going to go up no matter what. There's no downside to this. The downside is missing the boat. Trust me, this is a gift from God for the silver prices to be where they are today, and the Litecoin price to be where it's at today. This close to the end, it's not going to be long. Both of those are going to be over $1,000. Silver and Litecoin. It could be next month, for sure before the spring. And the problem is, once it starts, it's going to be hard to get in because nobody's going to want to sell. The exchanges may shut down for selling. Silver and gold dealers may shut down because nobody's going to want to sell when the prices are skyrocketing. They're going to want to hold it as long as they can. That's going to drive the prices up even higher. There's fixed amounts of silver, there's fixed amounts of gold, there's fixed amounts of these cryptocurrencies, the top ones. That's why you want a Litecoin, because there's only so many left in the world. And there won't be any in a day when this happens. Just think about this. If the banks close, how long do you think it's going to take to sell those last 20 million? That's the other reason why you have to get your coins. When you buy them, we recommend Coinbase, but then you want them out of Coinbase as soon as possible, because eventually some of these exchanges, like Coinbase, will fail. And if they fail and your coins are in there, you may lose them. So that's why you've got to get the Ledger Nano S. It's on the website, on our the Watchman page, and I'll post all this stuff to the comment section. Okay. See what we got for questions. Cousin Bill. Lisa, hello. Mark, how's it going? Jerry. Let me know how you guys like this new format. So for the people that got in after I started, what I said was, and what I'm doing now is, instead of waiting for 2 or 3 minutes at the beginning, I'm just going to start right away. Most of the people that have been here for a while don't, because I'm going to do the same introduction every night now. So, because we have so many new people coming in, I want everybody to be clear about what we're doing. So if you come in late, you're not going to miss anything, because it's going to be the same thing. If you're there within the first 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to be fine. And then for most of the people, they're watching it tonight or later or tomorrow anyway, so it makes more sense. Kathleen, how you doing? David, Joan, Chad, how you guys doing? Tessie, Becky, Joyce. Yeah, I don't think President Trump's, at this point at least, unless something changes drastically, I don't see President Trump putting any troops on the ground, or minimal. He's not going to send in 10,000 troops. Uh, 100 maybe, like he did with the embassy in Iraq. Uh, it's going to be kept to a minimum. He's going to use more, I think, firepower, air superiority and rockets. And then him and personally, don't worry about President Trump. They can't touch him. Not a hair on his head will be harmed. He's not going anywhere until the end of his second term. That's when he'll be leaving the White House. So don't worry about him. Focus on what our objective is. Waking up everybody you know and getting them prepared. And people you don't know. Get them on Facebook. Get them on Twitter. Get them to watch a live chat. Get all your friends invited to the Watchman page. Just press the blue invite button up at the top of the page, and a list of your friends will come up. Invite them all. Well, yeah. I mean, literally well, I mean, think about it. We're talking from before the French Revolution, Bonaparte forward at least. How many are we talking about? I mean, there's millions of people that have died because of this evil in the world trying to control us. That's what it's all, divide and conquer. That's what it's all been about. Vincent Fusca. Yeah, you guys do a search on Vincent Fusca. YouTube. Tell me what you think. Uh, Mike is feeling what most of us have felt at one time or another, the frustration. Um, but we especially now, because I'm telling you guys, I'm on the computer 16 hours a day, and every day I see 3 or 4 more things that show me that we're at the end of this thing. So don't let your guard down. Don't be frustrated like this. Keep pushing forward. Um, Tony, how you doing? It's everything that's happening has to happen. The economy has to collapse. You've got to get rid of these bankers, these criminal bankers, and the central banks. Well, that's right, Jerry. I did every as many friends as I lost, I gained back double good friends on the Watchmen. Tommy, how you doing? JC, what's up? Well, yeah, I mean I mean that was the plan with President Trump. They were going to do what to President Trump what they did to JFK. Johnson was a insider. He was a globalist. Johnson knew going in what the plan was, that he was eventually going to be president, that they were going to assassinate JFK, or that they were pretty sure they were. What sealed his fate was two things. He was going to get rid of the CIA. He was going to get rid of the Fed. What's President Trump going to do? He's going to get rid of the CIA. He's going to get rid of the Fed and the IRS, and hopefully a lot of other departments that need to go. Our government is way too bloated. It should be 70% less, minimum 70% less. And that's going to happen. Tony's asking why not gold. Okay, so the historical averages, silver to gold, are 10 to 1. So throughout history, it takes you 10 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold, except for right now. Right now, it's like over 80 to 1. It takes 80 plus ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold. What that means is when the manipulation is removed, and silver's been the most heavily manipulated metal there is, it's going to snap back to its historical average of 10 to 1. Well, on top of that, so right away, silver's going to outperform gold at least 8 times. And again, I eventually, within 10 years, I think silver will surpass gold in price. There's new technology coming out that are going to require loads of silver that are going to drive the price through the roof. If you just, but forget about the technology. Let's just talk about what's going to happen. China's going to a gold-backed currency. Russia's going to a gold-backed currency. America's going to a gold-backed currency. Several economists have crunched the numbers. Based on the money supply in the world, they believe gold, when the world goes to gold-backed currency, the price of gold will be somewhere between $50,000 and $85,000 an ounce, based on the gold supply in the world today. Well, think about it. So let's say it's 50,000, and silver's 10% of that. So literally in 6 months, gold could be at 50,000 and silver could be at 5,000, and you just paid $20 for it. Not a bad investment. And Litecoin is going to be even crazier, the return on investment. Just think about something you pay less than $50 for today that in 4 years is worth $3 million. And I think it's going to surpass Bitcoin. And they say Bitcoin in 4 years will be worth 12 million. So if you hold, just think about that. You hold 10 Litecoin for 10 years, and then I think they're going to be at least 10 million a piece. That's why I say part of the only thing I ask is for you to pay it forward. You need to take some of that money and help those that need it, and there will be many people that need it. There's a reason this is happening. There's a reason you're all here. Because it's going to be needed. Because not everybody is getting this message. Not everybody's going to be prepared for this. And a lot of people are going to need help. They're going to need help with extra food. They need help now if we can wake them up. They're going to need help financially down the road. And if we do the things we've talked about, not only get enough food for you and your family for 6 months, but get extra. Don't get just enough Litecoin or silver for what you think you'll need. Get extra. It's not about the money. It's about the tool. It becomes a tool. The food and the water is a tool to get us to help us survive. And God understands, obviously, why these people have been able to rule over us for thousands of years. And it's because they've had the power, which is the money. He wants his people to control this new world. That's why this is happening. So you can take advantage of it and bring your family along with you. I mean, like I said, if you just have food and water, you're probably going to get through this fine. And even if you don't, you might get through it fine. Wouldn't it be better to leapfrog ahead so that you don't have the struggles maybe you've had in the past, and your family doesn't have the struggles, and on top of that, you're able to help others too? I mean, there's no downside to this, guys. It's common sense. And if I'm wrong, you haven't lost anything. And I'm not wrong. Anybody who's got an IQ over 50 and is looking beyond the mainstream media, really getting in and doing the research, understands exactly what I'm talking about. And all you have to do is go to my page and go back as far as you want and look at all the videos and articles. I'm not the only one saying this stuff. I'm putting together probably 50 different of what I consider the top sources who have been correct the most the last 5 years. The guys are getting it right. And it falls right in line with everything I've been shown. So it's hard for me to understand why more people aren't on this. And the thing is, though, it's really starting to ramp up because I can hardly keep up with the calls and the text and, getting people on the right track. So it's all good. Yeah, silver's going to return you at minimum 8 times more than gold will. Yeah, Jerry's got it up. Gold right now is at $1,570, and silver's like 1825. You'll pay a premium on top of those prices. So there'll be a little bit more than that. But don't wait. I'll post a website for a bullion. In fact, Jerry, why don't you post the websites, Bullion Dealer and Coinbase and Ledger? Thanks, David. Yeah, everybody should be praying every single day. If there was ever a time in your life you're going to pray, now's the time to be doing it. Oh, and the other thing, it's not just enough to carry or buy a gun. If you're new, you need to get training and you need to practice. You don't want to be in a dangerous situation and not be confident in what you're doing. Uh, and for people, especially new people, that's really hard. People that grew up with guns, when you watch and they were trained right, they act totally different around guns than people who weren't raised. So if you haven't been raised with guns, take the time to go to the range and shoot as much as you can. And learn the laws. Go through the training classes. You're welcome, Cynthia. I can't stress enough, guys. There's nothing to fear here. Part of being prepared mentally and spiritually is understanding the situation we're in. You know, Life's tough. Life's dangerous. We're all going to die someday. If you're going to die, wouldn't you rather die doing something meaningful with your life as opposed to trying to cower in a corner and ride this thing out and hope that you're not affected by it? Now's the time to be bold. Now's the time to be a patriot and a Christian. And we do that by helping our fellow Americans, patriots and Christians, by reaching out to the ones that don't know what's going on, and then trying to help the ones that don't get it, help them through this thing. Pulling together is what we do. Every time we faced a challenge as a country in our history, we've risen to the occasion. And this will be no different. And honestly, I believe when this is all said and done, we'll be closer as a nation than we ever have been. And part of that's going to be holding no grudges. If anybody's out there listening, maybe people that I just mentioned that we're no longer friends. And you maybe have said some things that you might regret. There's no hard feelings. And we can't allow that to happen, guys. We've got to put that aside. The people that aren't awake, you know, a lot of that's our fault because they've been on this agenda since the Second World War to basically take over the media, take over our schools, take over our churches, and influence us and basically dumb us down. Look at Common Core. So I understand there's going to be a lot of people that don't get this because they're not mentally prepared for it in a lot of different ways. And so, as a patriot and a Christian, do I just want to kick them to the curb because they're not ready? I don't. I want to try and help get them through this because once they get to the other side of this, before they get to the other side of this, they're going to realize the mistakes they've made. That's going to bring the cognitive dissonance down even harder on them internally, right? So we've got to be looking out for these people. We all know somebody who's the radical liberal, right? Who's going to be crushed by this. We've got to be looking out for those people. If you know somebody like that and say this all blows up and you haven't heard from them in a few days, reach out to them. We've got to take the initiative here. You know, this is what, number one, it's what God wants. And this is what he really wants from his church. This is what he expects. The church we have today is not the church that God wants. God wants us to live every day like we're in church. We're not going to have buildings. You know, in 10 years, there won't be a church in a building anymore. There might be event centers where you hold events, but instead of being in church for an hour a week, people are going to shift to actually going out on the streets and help people where they really need it. You know, the people that are homeless, the people that don't have enough to eat. That's what church is going to be. It's going to be a whole different change in how we view what it is God wants. It's all good, guys. Like I said, we're headed into man's greatest age. There's nothing to fear here. Anybody that wants my info sources, go to my page. If everything I talk about, I've got hundreds of articles and videos. If you want more, I'll get them for you. Yeah, the truth about JFK Jr. is going to come out maybe pretty soon. Thank you, Tessie. Julie, hello. Yeah, SD or jmbullion.com, and then just coinbase.com for the Litecoin. You can do all this online. You can have Litecoin and silver bought tonight. And I would because listen, we're starting to see Litecoin make a rise, gold and silver make a rise. The stock market was down on Friday. The futures were down about 100 points this evening. This could be the big week, guys, that everything hits. So don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Once this blows up, things are going to get a lot harder as far as getting these assets. Joan, how you doing? Trust me, when this goes down, you're going to see an explosion in prospectors. They're going to be all over the Sierras. Think about if gold is 50,000 an ounce, they'll be running around the woods like crazy looking for this stuff. Um, here's a good Mike's. This is. I'm glad you brought this up, Mike. So Mike is frustrated because we're doing the right thing here. We're trying to help our fellow Americans, and we get blocked on Facebook. But don't. And it's easy to get frustrated. It ticks me off too. But you can't let it get to you. Then it's working because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put as many roadblocks up in front of us because they hate our message, because it's a total opposite. We're teaching unity, get people to understand that's how we get through this, and they're trying to divide and conquer. So I absolutely hate what we're saying. Don't let it get to you. Don't let those attacks get to you. Keep pushing forward. Thanks, David. JFK Jr., I believe, is a lie. I think they faked his death because there was an assassination attempt rumored. I think white hats went to JFK Jr. and warned him, and he's been in hiding for 20 years. And I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that. That's why I mentioned the Vincent Fusca videos. Go on YouTube, search Vincent Fusca. There are two Vincent Fuscas. One's a little bit shorter than the other. We'll see. I was on the fence for a while, but the more I've seen, I believe that he's still alive. And we'll see. And if you watch the videos, you'll understand, and maybe I'll get into it in more detail, next week. Okay, guys. We're over our hour, and that's all the questions. So remember, don't procrastinate. Pay it forward. Reach out to the people you love. Get your last minute prepping done. We're close to the end. Don't get caught short. Don't miss the boat. This is the biggest financial opportunity in the history of mankind. There's never been anything like this before. There will never be anything like this again. This 10 years that we're going into, well, it's already started, will be the most studied 10 years in human history. They're going to write thousands of books, hundreds of movies. We're going through amazing times. I wouldn't trade places with anybody in history. I want to be here right now and see this thing through. It's exciting, guys. Look at it from that perspective. Don't focus on the negative and the frustration. Focus on what's ahead of us. It's real easy to do when you started 5 years ago and Obama was president and it looked like Hillary Clinton was next. And I knew that any day somebody was going to be kicking in my front door. That's what we were going to get with Obama and Clinton. Just the fact that I could sleep at night and I put my semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun in the safe. I didn't have to have it under my bed once President Trump was elected. It's a whole different dynamic, guys. There's nothing to worry about now. We've got a guy in the White House who understands he works for us. And he's had this plan, I think, his whole life. He's been talking about the stuff he's doing now 30 years ago. There's not an accident. It's not an accident. This has all come out this way. God's had a plan, and it's happening. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there for tonight. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless.